Damn it, Shaw. Hello and welcome to Shouting Over the Static. I'm your host Dylan and I'm joined by Mark.
Hello.
And Chaw.
Hello.
But no Jack this week, sadly. Which is such a shame. We had our first full weeks in a while and now Jack's gone, which is sad, but
Chaw's still here though.
Yeah.
Chaw's still here. I mean, we
It's
didn't have Jack
incredible.
last week either, but Ija? I said Ija. I'm going to roll with it. I think we've kind of got two things we want to talk about today. One thing I think will dominate. So let's just get into it, I guess. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Seems like the best way to do this. EA have cancelled yet another Star Wars game.
Yet another Star Wars game.
At this point, their 10-year Star Wars game contract is basically just ruining a franchise rather than actually growing one.
Like, it's madness. If you actually look, I'll see if I can get up the list that I was looking at of what is understood by the public to be like EA's 10 years of Star Wars. If I can find it. It's in Jason Schreier's Twitter because he's just like the best, I guess. So the currently understood, you've got Visceral's Ragtag was cancelled, and then EA, you got Battlefront 1 and 2, which they've actually released, and then you've got Respawn's thing, and then some like unannounced stuff that I've never even heard of. And that's it. That's what they've done in 10 years. They've done Battlefront 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And cancelled like 3 games. Someone had put up, so it's not going to be on r/games. It's going to be it's going to be on the other one, the one with all the bad content.
r/gaming.
Yeah, that's the one. That was like that was a breakdown of the 10 years of Star Wars games before EA and the 10 years of Star Wars games after EA. And yeah, here we go. So from 2002 to 2008, so not even 10 years, 6 years, you have Star Wars Racer Revenge, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, Star Wars Clone Wars, Star Wars Galaxies, Star Wars Lego Star Wars the video game, Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, Star Wars Jedi Starfighter, Star Wars Empire at War, Star Wars The Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars The Knights of the Old Republic 2, Star Wars Republic Commando, Star Wars Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, Star Wars Jedi Outcast Jedi Knight 2, Star Wars The Force Awakens, and Star Wars The Force Awakens 2. Under EA from a length of from the same 6-year period. Star Wars Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
It's just so shit. Like, they didn't even make new Star Wars games. They just made bad versions of ones that were already out in that other period.
Yeah, that were just reskins of their Battlefront games they already made.
Not even reskins, they made them worse. They could have just released a HD version of the original Battlefronts and people would have eaten it up. But instead they released... Admittedly, they're quite satisfying shooters. I don't know if you've played them.
I played a bit of Battlefront 1
Played
because
a beta.
someone got it when I was a student.
Yeah, I think I basically did the same. I played a little bit of Battlefront 1. I think maybe actually I'm not sure. I definitely played a little bit of Battlefront 1. Oh, and the beta of Battlefront 2, I guess. I must have. And like they feel pretty good to play. But then there's nothing in them.
There's not much to do.
It's got like that original Destiny problem of feels fun, but like for 5 minutes, and then it's well, what do I do now? Just keep shooting robots?
Except Destiny didn't have a loot box system so aggressively exploitative that it's literally caused multiple governments around the world to look into loot boxes as possible gambling for children.
God.
That is something that I feel like we've forgotten about Star Wars Battlefront 2, but it had such a toxic monetization scheme that it's actually caused governments around the world to investigate video games as kiddie gambling.
I mean, you've got the whole we want we want our customers to have a sense of pride and accomplishment. That point, I feel like that's become separate from Star Wars Battlefront at this point. It's just like the EA joke, right?
It's just a meme now,
That was Battlefront 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's. I think that's the most downvoted post on Reddit as well.
Yeah. It's just like
so good.
That's the EA Star Wars legacy. They released 2 games in 6 years and like completely changed the face of gaming.
Not in a good way, though.
No.
It is worth mentioning they didn't change the face of gaming in a good way. Not like when Modern Warfare came out and now every single first-person shooter is just kind of Modern Warfare.
It's such a sad state of affairs that is what Star Wars is doing to video games. Because Star Wars used to be like the good video games, and now it's the bad.
So
ones.
good.
It's flipped so dramatically from one end to the other.
There is still probably once a month a journalist from one of the podcasts I listen to will talk about just how phenomenally good those old TIE Fighter games were.
Yeah.
Like from back in the day. Like the legacy of Star Wars games is some of the best video games ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever play, I think it was Rogue Squadron, where you could fly a Cadillac?
I played Rogue Squadron, but I didn't fly a Cadillac.
Like a car.
I think it was Rogue Squadron. It was definitely one of the flying games. It was a Buick Electra. Rogue Squadron 2. It was like, it looks Cadillac-y, I guess.
I can see why you'd get confused.
There were cheats. I'll put it in the chat, and if you're listening, then I just searched Rogue Squadron Cadillac, and it was the first video, so, not that tricky. But that's one of those... That game, Rogue Squadron itself, was fucking incredible.
Rogue Squadron was cool.
But then the fact that you could fly a Buick Electra made it even better.
That's awesome.
That looks like the car from Men in Black.
That might be why, I guess.
Yeah, that might be why.
Yeah.
Man, Men in Black's pretty good.
There's
a new one coming out. Off topic.
Is there?
Yes.
Oh, there is, isn't there?
With Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, yes.
I think.
And Tessa Thompson.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw the pictures for that. Oh, God, Chris Hemsworth is so handsome.
Also, this is very off topic now, but the 2 different trailers for that, so the international trailer and the US trailer, play it like super differently.
Oh.
If you watch each one, you get a completely different understanding of what the story of Men in Black 4 International, whatever it is, because one of them focuses on Tessa Thompson being an outsider and coming in and helping. One of them focuses on Chris Hemsworth having to work with famous partner Tessa Thompson, and it's like, this is completely different.
Oh,
so
cool.
Maybe they're going to release 2 different games.
Editing.
2 different films. Yeah, but like then it's not even editing. They put in voiceover and stuff that is just like, this is intentionally different.
It's just
maybe they
you
think.
out.
Well, I assume it's because they think the international market hates women, or the other way around.
I would guess it's that
It's
the
the other way
Americans
around.
hate women.
Yeah.
It might be that. Although I don't know. There's lots of international places that hate women.
Women don't sell unless they're naked. You heard it here first.
Well,
Fucking hell, Chaw.
Anything I
intense.
say is not serious, guys. Okay.
Alright.
he's covering his ass now.
Yeah.
The words of Chaw do not represent the voice of this podcast or the views of anyone else on this podcast.
The words of Chaw do not represent the views of Chaw.
Yeah, that is in fact completely valid.
Yeah.
I've always liked the international differences thing, though. If you want to bring it back to video games, did you ever see the international versions of the Ratchet and Clank boxes?
No, I don't think so.
So the Ratchet and Clank... So I'll see if I can get up the US box art and then the one I'm talking about, because it's like... The actual difference between the two is just crazy, because what they do is in Japan, because of... I don't know, I guess just because the Japanese are less scared of things being for children, they give Ratchet huge, like...
Oh shit, it's anime as fuck.
Yeah, they give him huge googly eyebrows to make him look like super cheery and fun. So it's like the same box art. It's still just like Ratchet and Clank posing with some aliens, but Ratchet's got these massive, great, bushy eyebrows that make him look like super kawaii. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's in all of them as well. So I saw the Ratchet and Clank 3 one, but it's on the Ratchet and Clank like PSP one as well.
Yeah, like that was just what they did for Ratchet and Clank in overseas, in Japanese markets.
Did they do it?
They gave him
in game as well, or is it just the box art?
I think it's just the box art.
I'd have loved it if they changed the game just enough that it's like, we got to give him eyebrows.
Well, that would like quite significantly change possibly the tone of those games, but I mean maybe. But yeah, it's the box art for all of them. Like even coming forward to the most recent PS3 ones, he's just got these big, thick, expressive, black, bushy eyebrows that make him look like super fucking hype all the time. It's good. I don't know if it is in game or not.
Probably not.
I don't think it is. I think it's just the front cover. But yeah, the Japanese apparently need their Lombaxes to be kawaii.
I think apparently they did. I think someone's discussing maybe they're talking about the film or something, but someone's asking on a blog, will they bother to change Ratchet's eyebrows for the Japanese release of the game? I mean, if they don't, Japanese Ratchet and Clank fans might think Ratchet looks weird without his trademark bushy brows. So I mean, I guess they must be in the game, right? Otherwise
I am going through. Oh man, they totally are in the game.
Oh, that's intense.
Oh, what the fuck? This is changing. This is nuts, man. I'm watching footage of Ratchet and Clank 3 in Japan, and he's just got these huge fucking eyebrows.
What are the eyebrow physics?
Expressive.
Deep and fluffy.
Mate, I know this is so off from what we were originally talking about, but this is mental. What on earth? Okay, yeah. So EA have just fucked Star Wars into the ground, basically.
Yeah.
To have a jarring tonal shift back to what we originally
I was
talking
not
about.
ready for that.
That was intense. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many games at this point. So this latest one that they've cancelled is one of the open world games that they've been working on, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Was it one they were working on themselves? Because it doesn't look like it's
EA Vancouver, I think.
Yeah.
Because obviously Visceral got closed.
Yeah.
Because Visceral were doing their Uncharted thing. They got on Amy Hennig, who made Uncharted, and they were like, yo, make Uncharted, but with, not Uncharted.
Make space Uncharted.
Wait, I eat that shit up.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it should have been the best thing ever. There was a quote that has become more relevant today that was pulled out by Jason Schreier, which I would like to read because, holy shit, it is just nuts. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's near the bottom. It's the one that I read to you, Dylan, even.
Yeah.
That was just, that I think kind of sums up basically everything you expected about EA running Star Wars, really. I'll see what I can search. Here we go, yeah, found it. So, talking about like Hennig's frustration working at like an EA studio and that kind of thing. And so it's like Hennig also wasn't used to working with a corporation like Electronic Arts. Despite being owned by electronics giant Sony, Naughty Dog had been able to operate autonomously, in large part because they were widely perceived as the corporation's prestige video game studio. At EA, however, things were different. Amy Hennig was giving these massive presentations on story and themes, said one person who was working on Ragtag, and EA executives were like, FIFA Ultimate Team makes $1 billion a year. Where's your version of that?
Fuck. $1 billion a year.
I mean, FIFA Ultimate Team is crazy.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think, is Jack into FIFA Ultimate Team? I think Jack's into FIFA Ultimate Team. I think Jack's actually causing the end of Star Wars.
Damn it,
It's
Jack.
entirely Jack.
And he's not even here.
Single-handedly.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of touches on what we spoke about last week, right? The whole businesses or game, like business or art kind of element of it. But and we sort of spoke about this just before we started recording as well. EA seems to have like two sides to it. They're ruining a bunch of games because they're expecting it to just make money. But then they're also making stuff like Unraveled and A Way Out and Sea of Solitude and...
Yeah, like they have their EA... What do they call them? EA Indies or something? No, I can't believe they're calling it that.
But they're relatively cheap investments, though, compared to a full blockbuster game like Uncharted, Star Wars.
Yeah, I think that's the difference, isn't it? They can...
Yeah.
And I think indie games like that, if they're successful, can make quite a bit of money because it doesn't... you don't have to put much in, and then people will still eat it up. Like, Celeste must make a fuck ton compared to how much it costs to make, right?
Yes.
I imagine so, yeah.
So, they're probably aiming for a similar thing to that, right?
Yeah.
You'd expect anyway.
Yeah, it's like a few orders of magnitude difference in money investment. It's really no-brainer to go for those. But they have the money, though, to go for the big blockbusters, but they won't unless they get billions in return.
I guess it's like... it is exactly what we talked about last week, wasn't it, with Bungie and Activision. It's just this idea that big games now cost so much money to make that if they're not guaranteed to make that money back, and more so, they're not seen as a good investment anymore.
Yeah, which is,
I guess, why everything wants to monetize too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it just seems. I think. I don't know. It's just such a hard way of looking at these video games, isn't it? Because it takes away such a... And we discussed this a lot last week, so I mean, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but...
I suppose I think the saddest part about all of this is that in 2013, EA got a 10-year exclusive deal to make Star Wars games, and I imagine they paid a fucking shit ton to get that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of what happened before, which was LucasArts individually licensing out Star Wars to different developers to make different types of games, and you've got a huge range of games from Lego Star Wars through flight simulators to third-person action to first-person action, you now just have EA have made two fair to middling first-person shooters, one of which was so heavily monetized in such an aggressively unpleasant way that it basically killed monetization for the industry.
Yeah.
So, that's the part about this that's sad is not looking at it and going, oh, well, the industry's fucked. Because we kind of knew that. We knew that last week.
Yes.
Yeah.
We knew that games cost too much, and people are not willing to make that investment unless they get that big return, and everyone's looking for their moneymaker, and because EA is this huge publicly traded third-party corporation, they don't even have necessarily the desire to make big money prestige games like Sony or like Bethesda or even Microsoft want to do it more now, where they can start using their cash cows to make big prestige games. EA's just like, no, we need to give money to all of our big businessmen investors.
Yeah.
So then you end up in the situation where that's sort of understood. We get that already, but why did they have to fuck Star Wars into the ground to get to this point?
Yeah. They could have... I guess, but that's the thing, right? You kind of got... They've seen it as Star Wars is a big IP, right? It's going to make money, basically no matter what you put out. It's going to probably sell pretty well.
Yeah.
I imagine those Battlefront games probably made a lot of money, to be fair.
Yeah, they must have done. But at the same point, I'm saying that's a reason why they got it. But also, surely that's a reason why you just bash out games no matter what.
Yeah.
You could just make any old bullshit and you'd get a shit ton of money. They could have been making a ton of Star Wars mobile games or something.
I think that Star Wars mobile game, like there is that one Star Wars mobile game that's like a card battler that I think makes money hand over fist, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. But like they could even just be doing stuff like that where they make not a particularly great game, but a fine game. And because it's Star Wars, it would probably sell pretty well. But they're not even doing that. They're just... And maybe that's because, like, secretly they actually do care a little bit about games and they want the games to be good. But given how this open world one, seemingly it looks like from that Jason Schreier, maybe it was from a slightly different article.
So it's
the reason they cancelled it was because it wasn't coming out. It wasn't going to be released by 2020. And it's just like, that's bullshit. Just give them extra time. If it's gonna be a good game, surely it deserves extra time. I don't know. Sorry, Cho, what were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, no, sorry, it's okay. When does their license expire?
It's 10 years, so 23, I guess.
23, okay. And is Anthem being developed by Vancouver as well?
Anthem is BioWare.
Yeah, Anthem's BioWare.
By the same, so...
Same publisher, but EA owns BioWare, but it's not like EA Vancouver, it's just BioWare.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was just thinking,
they could just
maybe
put
they
a Star Wars skin on Anthem.
Yeah, I mean, they create the assets first, and then, hey-o, there's another Star Wars game. Just like Battlefield 2, Battlefront. It's possible. But no, I was just thinking maybe they were not developing an open world game anymore because... Their license is going to run out soon, and they want to support it in a big way, like Destiny by Bungie.
That's a fair point.
But that's like different to an open world game. I don't think Destiny counts as open world, does it?
No. But like a big game that you keep supporting with big community.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, does the license? I doubt the license works such that a game they release during the time span, as soon as the license is up, they're not allowed to touch it anymore. It's still their game, right?
Yeah, it's still their game. True. It's just then other people start being allowed to make other Star Wars games. I think is how that works.
Yeah. I really hope that they don't get a license after 2023. I can't imagine Disney would give it to them, given the absolute shitstorm that it's been.
I don't know, though, just because EA would have paid for that. And so that was Disney got a huge lump sum of cash and then didn't have to worry about video games for 10 years.
True.
And if you look at the way Disney's been consolidating, bearing in mind Disney shut down their own video game studio.
Yeah.
They stopped making Disney Infinity. Disney doesn't want to actually be involved in video games. So I think it makes sense how you get to a point of them just going, well, just let EA make them, whatever. The EA have got the biggest amount of money. They've got the biggest check to give us in return for them making whatever money they want to make for the next 10 years on this. Let's just make it their problem. We'll keep making these movies.
Yeah.
I think like that in my head, I could see them doing it again because, it hasn't stopped Star Wars films from being from being incredibly popular. Like Disney are still making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, there must be a level of Disney are so controlling of their IPs, right? In the film world, with Star Wars and Marvel and stuff, they're very you have to do things a certain way.
Yes.
But then the games, they're kind of just letting. EA have certainly tarnished Star Wars games. I think whoever gets the next bunch, I think they're going to be. If it's not EA, I think they'll be given a chance because it's let's see what someone else can do. But at the same time, for people who aren't too involved in games, but enough that they're kind of aware, it's going to be, the last two Star Wars games were kind of bullshit. So why would I bother?
Well, who knows? Maybe Jedi Rogue Order, Jedi Fallen Order, Fallen Jedi Order, Order of the Fallen Jedi, whatever it is, the Respawn one this year will be really good and make everyone be like, oh no, actually Star Wars games are great, EA the best. Ooh.
That's not being cancelled, huh?
No, it hasn't.
Okay.
No, Vince Sampella's still out there wearing his Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order hat.
Oh, I really hope they don't ruin Respawn.
It's going to be a first-person shooter, isn't it?
No, we don't know. I think it's going to be third person, I heard somewhere.
Yeah, I've heard some stuff about that, but we just don't know anything about it. He spoke about he gave the name at E3 as if it was some big thing, and it's like, nobody cares. Nobody cares about the name of your game.
Yeah.
Because that's still... It could still be a card game, and you've just given it a name. Great. I mean,
no, we haven't seen anything about that game.
Yeah, I guess some people might care about the name, but I feel like...
I personally think the name is bad and implies that it's going to be set in a part of the Star Wars timeline that I don't care about.
Yeah.
Because the Jedi Order falls in the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
It'll probably be set between the prequel and the originals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
Where everything else is set. It's very crowded. In that, 20-year span, it's very crowded.
Because, like, Force Awakens is all there as well, isn't it? Is it just going to be Force Awakens, but from, like, the good side? That is what Force Awakens is. God fucking damn it.
Force Unleashed?
Force Unleashed,
you mean?
Yeah.
I was like, hang on a minute, that's not what Force Awakens is.
Not Force Awakens, yeah. Force Unleashed.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, right? You could go and play as Starkiller.
Maybe you'll see him.
Bad name.
Yeah.
It was a bad name. It was a good game, though. I really liked Force Unleashed.
I liked the way that you could throw the stormtroopers around.
Yeah, you could throw them out windows. It was so good. It was such an enjoyably weird game. On the Wii as well. Like, I was proper throwing people out of windows with my hands. Good shit.
So I heard a really sinister theory about Respawn the other day that made me really depressed, which was obviously like EA has been the publisher of Titanfall for however long, like since the first one.
Yeah.
And when Titanfall 2 was coming out, obviously it was Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, and then Infinite Warfare, like week on week on week.
Yeah.
And it was EA like they were trying to fuck Infinite Warfare, but you ended up in this weird situation
where they just fucked Titanfall.
Where Titanfall just got fucked. I heard a theory that basically put forth that EA pressured Respawn into releasing Titanfall 2 during that week intentionally because they knew that it would fuck Respawn and Respawn's share price would drop enough that EA could then just buy them outright.
Fuck.
Oh man. I mean, that sounds legit.
Dark.
It's really dark, but the moment you say it, you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Oh,
that's a great
poor
plan.
Respawn.
Man, EA suck.
So now EA can fuck Respawn into the ground like they've done with... I just like, if you look at the list of incredible developers who have made some of the most interesting games, and then you look at how all of them have been bought by EA and then turned into just fucking trash.
Why do they do it? I don't understand. What's the value of buying a good video game company and then ruining it? What do they get from this? Less competition of good games? It's like
money.
Just because there's no good games out doesn't mean you get anything.
Just short-term profit for the quarter.
But like people hate EA now.
Isn't it?
They've become like, especially recently after the Star Wars debacle, they started losing so much share price because they're just a shit company. Man, fuck EA.
EA bad.
EA bad, Witcher good. That's the notes I've got written down. And welcome to the circle, jerk.
EA killed Command & Conquer and Mass Effect.
Oh, but didn't you see there's a mobile game for Command & Conquer?
Sure, EA killed Command & Conquer and Mass Effect.
I know, I really love those games
too. That's 20% of my top 10 of all time.
Yeah.
Mark, though. Do you not have a phone?
I'm actually crying.
Do you not spend most of your time on your phone these days?
No, I don't, because I'm not allowed to bring it into work.
Oh shit, you're right.
So I actually just don't use my phone very much anymore. I use my phone for about half an hour before I go to bed, and that's it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that could be half an hour of playing Command & Conquer.
I will cut you. I will climb down the internet and cut you. Now they're killing Star Wars.
That's such an incredible feat as well.
They're killing Not even the prequel trilogy killed Star Wars. George Lucas couldn't kill Star Wars, and he fucking tried.
He did his very best and didn't get anywhere. The prequels are probably the biggest part about Star Wars on the internet now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just like weird millennial ironic humor, right?
Yeah, but it's kind of great though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's an entire generation of people with no hopes and no dreams who are just forced to talk about prequel memes.
No hopes, no dreams, just memes.
Oh.
I love it. I want that on a shirt.
But like, this is slightly off tangent now, but that whole, like you say, the prequel trilogy didn't manage to kill Star Wars, but prequel memes have made the prequel trilogy actually quite enjoyable because you're watching it and then a meme comes up and you're like, hey, it's a meme.
I don't know, man. When was the last time you tried to watch The Phantom Menace?
I used to love The Phantom Menace. It's so long, but I really liked it when I was a kid.
It's so long. That was the thing that got me the most. Like, The Phantom Menace is quite a boring movie.
Yeah.
But The Phantom Menace is a boring movie that is like 2.5 hours long.
It's incredible. How did they do it? How did they make such a long, boring film and then feel like it was okay to... Well, I don't know why we're discussing the pitfalls of the prequel trilogy right now. But it's like, they could have just cut out some of it and it would have been pretty great. You get to that Darth Maul fight scene at the end and it'll be like, fuck yeah. Give me some motherfucking Star Wars, you bitch. But no, instead...
I listened to Duel of the Fates while doing the washing up the other day and it was great.
That would make me throw plates. I can't trust myself with a knife and Duel of the Fates playing because I would just be swinging it around.
On probably a weekly basis, either myself or Katie in the house will go, duh, and then the other person will go, dun, dun, and then we'll just do Duel of the Fates. It's great.
You guys are so massive nerds.
Mate, Duel of the Fates is just so fucking good. It's so good. Duel of the Fates basically redeems that movie.
Yeah. It's true. It's so iconic. Man. At least EA haven't ruined Star Wars yet. We're still enjoying Star Wars.
Well, you might say Disney has ruined Star Wars with the latest film.
I wouldn't though, because that film's really good.
I really liked it, but you know...
What, The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
That film's
been
cool.
talks.
That film's legit.
I think we've discussed this before. This is a Star Wars podcast now. It's okay. I really enjoy all the individual aspects of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I think each like scene is really well directed and great. But together, it's just like, what the fuck is happening? It's like a bad anime. Like, it's all really dope because it's anime, and anime is great.
Yeah.
It's like a good anime.
True. That is what makes it... But, like, it's completely incoherent if you watch it as a whole, and if it didn't have all the sick Star Wars stuff and, like, blowing up ships with other ships, it would be like, what the fuck is this? I have very mixed feelings about the latest Star Wars.
I don't know. I think it's quite singular in its rejection of the thematic arcs from previous Star Wars films.
I do like that element. Yeah.
I think it's quite coherent in the way that Rian Johnson basically takes I think J.J. Abrams accidentally with The Force Awakens made a film that was all about rejecting the sort of the messages of the past. I think he did that totally by accident because J.J. Abrams does anything good by accident, and I think Rian Johnson was like, yo, there is something here, and ran with it, because so much of that film is about being like, no, this isn't like those other films. There isn't gonna be just a big bad guy who you can just blame it all on. Like, you're not gonna get to kill Snoke and then Kylo Ren will be redeemed. It's not gonna be like the end of the end of Return of the Jedi. This isn't gonna be what those films are. It's not gonna be those movies, and it's just it's great. That film's cool as shit.
It's such a weird juxtaposition to The Force Awakens, though, isn't it? Because The Force Awakens, like, they've got the same kind of themes, but Force Awakens is very much like you follow like how A New Hope is set up, but completely change it in these really subtle ways, which means people come out saying they're the same movie, and then you can look at those people and laugh derisively because they're idiots.
And be like, "Did you even watch the fucking movie?" I've had that argument in a Weatherspoons before with someone just being like, "What film did you watch that you thought it was the same as A New Hope?"
And then The Last Jedi is completely different. It follows the same, but it's just completely different from Star Wars, which I guess comes from the fact that everybody was just going, "Oh, it's just A New Hope again."
Which I think that is what makes me think that J.J. Abrams did all those subtle changes completely by accident. I think what J.J. Abrams wanted to set up was all of the mystery around like who Snoke was and who the Knights of Ren was and all this other stuff, and then all of the really subtle differences I think he like stumbled upon. And then Rian Johnson was just like, "Nah, mate, this is not how we do this."
Have you seen those mysteries, like who Snoke is? J.J. Abrams didn't have an answer.
Of course not. Just like with Lost.
Yeah.
Just like with everything J.J. Abrams has ever done. He had no fucking idea.
He thinks up a mystery and then doesn't come up with a solution, and then it just doesn't make any fucking sense. And it's like, this is why the whole Snoke thing was never going to work, because that's all people focused on in between the two films.
Yeah.
So Rian Johnson had to just be like, fucking kill him. Just get rid of him.
This is
not important.
This is really opening my eyes. You guys are speaking some good points. I haven't heard these points before. And
mate, I fucking love the sequel trilogy is thematically fucking genius, and people get so up their own arse about like tiny bits of mystery that were never fucking important in the first place. It's so disappointing because it will the feed whatever Disney wants to say, the fucking kickback on The Last Jedi will affect Star Wars 9. It will. There is no way that it won't in some way cause Star Wars 9 to be different from what it was originally going to be, because of just how fucking much controversy Last Jedi generated. And it's just so disappointing because those films are so fucking cool. Those films do really interesting stuff with Star Wars for the first time in years.
Yeah, this is true.
I can understand it though, because something like Star Wars, you've got these elements of like, there's these interesting themes that you can think about in The Last Jedi. But Star Wars isn't necessarily something that the goodness of it should come from that. That should be, it's perfectly acceptable that that's a part of it, because that's what makes a good film, I think, that you can look deeper into it. But at the surface level, it should also be just an enjoyable blockbuster, because it's Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
And it was. Did you not gasp when they jumped to light speed through that other ship and it all went black and white?
True.
I gasped.
True.
It was breathtaking,
silence.
Dylan. I took breath.
I did enjoy the individual moments of those films, like I said. But I came out of The Last Jedi not enjoying it that much, because
I remember.
But in like a really weird way, because throughout the entire film, I was like, "Oh, this is cool. That's cool. That's cool." But then in the end, completely unsatisfied, because there's no, like you say, the thing that makes it good is the themes and the background bits. Like, you have to think about it to enjoy it. And they made Star Wars a thinking man's movie. Which is just ridiculous, isn't it? Because it was either you had to be not thinking about it at all and just enjoying each individual bit, or thinking about it a lot. There was no middle ground. You couldn't be thinking about it a little bit, because then you'd be like, well, what about this? What about that? And it takes you out of it. I've thought about it constantly for like a year. Yeah, see. I'm just excited to see what happens next.
We're supposed to get it this year.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what's next.
Yeah, the end of this year, I think. Right?
Amazing. Okay.
Theoretically, yeah. So they'll probably do a title announcement in the next couple of months, I imagine.
Maybe we'll get to see Darth Maul again. No, they cancelled all that, didn't they?
Johnny Spiderlegs is back.
I think because they cancelled the well, I don't know if they ever announced it, but I think they were thinking of doing an Obi-Wan film.
Yeah.
And then they didn't, because Han Solo was so bad.
Was Han Solo
Yeah,
actually
Solo-
bad? I haven't seen it yet.
No,
So it's fine.
it's fine. Yeah, it's
Okay.
fine. That's kind of the just blockbuster Star Wars film, but with nothing to it.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable, but I came away from Han Solo a bit like, I'd watch it of an evening.
Yeah, that was that
And
film.
the problem with it, like, it had such a troubled development and made really terrible domestic gross.
Yeah.
And I think it just made back its money in like international gross. But I think it's just they were just like, you know what, actually we can't. But the problem was Rogue One was so good.
To be fair,
Rogue One was
It
cool.
was so
given
enjoyable.
the fact that Ron Howard made Solo in like 2 months or something ridiculous, because they had such a troubled production, and then they brought him on, and like they basically completely redid it. And for that, if you think about it in that way, in that it's possibly the quickest turnaround of the film of that scale, and it's still actually okay. Like, it's not a bad film. It's just very meh. Like, it's Amazing Spider-Man 2, but Star Wars.
Oh.
There's
Amazing Spider-Man 2 is
also,
actually rubbish.
nah. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is another one of those.
This is Ron Howard though. Like, the man made Apollo 13.
Yeah, Ron Howard is a masterclass in filmmaking.
Yeah, which is why he managed to make a completely passable Star Wars film in a couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. I still think they should have given Ewan McGregor the Obi-Wan film that he so clearly wants. From the fact that about like once every 6 months, someone from some film magazine interviews him, and he's just like, "Yeah, no, I'd love to go back and be Obi-Wan. I'm still keen to do that." Especially because now he's at a point in his life where he could possibly be just like Alec Guinness era Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah, easily.
He could be old Ben Kenobi.
There was a I follow like Forbidden Planet Nottingham or something on Facebook, and they put up a bunch of photos of some statues that they've got in, and one of them is like Star Wars mythos Obi-Wan, so it's like the in-between films Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah.
And it looks exactly like Ewan McGregor and Alec McGuinness.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So what we're actually saying is that Star Wars isn't dead yet.
Not quite.
No matter how hard EA is trying by cancelling all of their Star Wars projects, apart from this Respawn game, that is probably going to be quite bad and actually cause them to not make Titanfall 3, but let's not get into that.
Please no. Titanfall 3 will come out this year. It's okay. They've probably already finished it. I'm clinging on to it. They just need to get 14-year-olds in charge of the Star Wars IP, because Star Wars now is all about dank memes, and 14-year-olds are incredibly good at dank memes.
They are.
There you go. I've solved Star Wars. There you go, EA and Disney. I've fixed it for you. Just get some 14-year-olds to make Star Wars for you.
And then leave Respawn to make Titanfall.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I should play Titanfall 2 again.
I should start it. I downloaded it.
I finished Sleeping Dogs, and my PlayStation 4 is been sent back to Sony because it's fucked. So I've been trying to find other games to play, and so I've been playing Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2.
Oh, wow.
Maybe I should just play Titanfall 2.
Yeah. Titanfall 2 is just like the final point of Black Ops 1 and 2.
Like I'd never played Black Ops 2 before. Black Ops 2 is really good. That campaign
Black Ops 2 is great, yeah.
Rad. Yeah. I'd heard that campaign did some weird shit. I did not realise that campaign is just like full-on fucking branching story. Like, if you fail an objective at the end of a level, the game just keeps going, and you get like different story and other characters alive and all sorts. It's fucking wild.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Call of Duty it gets a lot of shit because it comes out every year and is like super popular. But Call of Duty is pretty great. There's a reason that it's so popular. I mean, yeah, it fell down a bit in the last few years, but those are some great games.
It's got that tight
Infinite
shooting.
Warfare.
It
does. Well, the Black Ops games just don't feel as good as the other ones.
True.
No, the Modern Warfare feels a lot better than Black Ops.
Yeah.
But in Black Ops, you can dive through windows, and that makes it better.
You can. This is true.
Because I used to do that all the time. You would dive out of a window on Nuketown and then shoot people from the ground, and you'd feel like a fucking boss.
Well, you dive out and then go straight prone, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like you sprint and then hit crouch, don't you? And you just like swan dive.
I miss the good old days of Call of Duty. Honestly, I loved that game. I used to play it a lot, and I loved it. It was great. Maybe I should get back into Call of Duty. Except now it's just Battle Royale. Although, gaming news, it is free at the moment. The Blackout stuff.
Oh,
it's free until like the 24th.
Oh, it's free to play weekend.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. It's not like
so
the game is free.
We should play some Blackout this weekend.
Oh, maybe.
How big's the download?
Probably big.
Is it cross-platform?
No, but
you got my hopes up.
Mark and I and Jack all have Xboxes, so
fuck you, Chaw.
Oh, fuck.
I think you need to get an Xbox, Chaw.
No.
So we can play shit together.
Because then we could just play the games with gold every month.
I got mine second hand, 200 quid.
Yeah.
500 gig Xbox One S, and it's a 4K Blu-ray player.
Oh, that 4K Blu-ray player is attractive, isn't it? But I need to play more video games to invest 200 quid. This is the thing.
Yeah, just play more then. You can play all of the Xbox games with gold. Because you generally have at least one good one a month.
You could. What if we just got Xboxes and Game Pass?
Oh, we'd have so many games to play.
Yeah.
Then we could start a pirate crew and Sea of Thieves.
Chaw, you need to get an Xbox.
All right, I'll think about it.
You could get just an original Xbox for like £100. Not original Xbox, an original Xbox One for like £100.
I can get the original Xbox for like 10 quid, probably. But that's no good.
I reckon they're becoming retro enough that's going to be like 50, 60 quid.
People probably want to use them as like media players or something weird.
Oh, yeah.
People are weird.
Is this an episode?
That's pretty long.
Everybody should watch The Last Jedi and actually try and appreciate it, as opposed to trying to just wanting it to be Empire. Fucking bastards.
They just
That's my
want
closing
nostalgia
statement.
again.
Watch Last Jedi, want it to be something that isn't Empire, because Empire already exists. Damn it.
I don't have a good closing statement about Star Wars. Please don't kill Titanfall.
Please don't kill Titanfall.
Appreciate the memes. That's my closing statement. About everything in life.
Always.
Appreciate the memes.
Always.
Have you got a closing statement,
mate,
Shaw?
I don't. I really don't. I like memes. That's cool.
No, man, you're just stealing my statement.
I'm not stealing. I'm appending to it. I'm appending.
Stop popping your peas.
I don't know what's going on there, but someone needs a pop screen.
I've got one. But anyway, yeah, that's it.
All right.
This has been a strange episode, but you can find it on iTunes and SoundCloud at Shouting Over the Static, and on YouTube at Low Expectations Media. There's a playlist or something. Maybe this week Chaw will put it on Facebook, but unlikely.
That's funny.
You say it's been a strange episode, Dylan. Was it as strange as last week?
I can't even remember what we spoke about last week.
Randy Pitchford?
Oh shit, no, fuck. The first half of last week was quite a good episode. The second half was strange. I liked it though. Chaw is a bad influence to this podcast. I'm telling you now. He's made 2 weird ones in a row.
I like it. It's great. Let's become the weird video game podcast
that barely talks about video games at some point. We did just have a discussion about the Star Wars film.
That's the great thing about us. We go places, you know? You get your value.
You come in expecting video games, you don't get video games. That's your value, baby. Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.